Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Woodstock City Council, May 21st, 2026. This hybrid meeting is being held in person here in council chambers and electronically in accordance with Section 238, subsection 3.3 of the Municipal Act and a Section 16.6.24 of the City of Woodstock Procedure Bylaw. This meeting is being live streamed to the city's YouTube channel, and a recording will be posted on the city's website following the meeting. An agenda of the meeting can be found on the Agendas, Meetings, and Minutes page of the city's website. All councillors are in attendance, so we aren't expecting anyone virtually this evening. And before we get things underway, we do have a full agenda tonight, but I do have a proclamation that I'm going to come to the floor. Whereas National Accessibility Week is a time for Canadians to recognize the valuable contributions of people with disabilities and advance accessibility and inclusion in our communities, workplaces, schools, and public places. And whereas approximately 28% of Ontario residents have at least one disability, and these individuals are repeatedly impacted by barriers to information, facilities, employment, transportation, and communication supports. And whereas our city is stronger when people with disabilities can participate fully in all aspects of society. And whereas the City of Woodstock Council and the citizen of Woodstock are committed to creating an inclusive community that consults and collaborates with persons with disabilities to help ensure that all individuals can independently take part in all civil, political, social, and cultural experiences the city has to offer. And whereas, on behalf of the City of Woodstock, we support National Accessibility Week as an opportunity to reflect on efforts we've made to remove barriers and improve access for all who live, work, and play here in the City of Woodstock, and look forward to the work that still needs to be done to create environments that are not only accessible, but inclusive by design and built in partnership with those with lived experience. Now, therefore, I, Jerry Ancioni, Mayor of the City of Woodstock, and on behalf of City Council, do hereby proclaim May 31st to June 6th of 2026 as National Accessibility Week. Here in the City of Woodstock, dated this 21st day of May, 2026. We encourage everyone to support equality of access and opportunity for persons with disabilities here in the City of Woodstock. And I'd ask Sue Peters to come and join me. Thank you. And I'll call you up in a minute. Thank you, everyone, for that. Now we'll get into our regular scheduled meeting. There was no closed session this evening. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interests? Seeing none. Matters arising from the minutes? Sorry, any disclosures of new business? And now the minutes. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Ancioni. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Wismer Van Meer that the minutes of the regular meeting of Woodstock City Council held on May 7th, 2026 be adopted.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns with those? All those in favor? None opposed. Next up, additions to the agenda. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Ancioni. Through you, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Schadenberg that the following items be added to the agenda. Delegation item 8B, Margaret Hamilton, OP 26-02-8 and ZN 8-26-01, application for official plan amendment and zone change, 190 Huron Street, Inc., 190 to 196 Huron Street.
Thank you. Any objections? All those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. And that brings us to presentations. We have the Donna Burley Award to proudly give out, and I'd like to invite the Woodstock Accessibility Advisory Committee Chair, Sue Peters, to the podium, who you've all met already. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Your Worship, to you and to Council. Thank you very much for allowing us to be here. I am the chair of the Woodstock Accessibility Advisory Committee. I'm here to present the Donna Burley Achievement Award that recognizes a significant achievement that organizations or individuals make to eliminate barriers in accessibility. This year, the Woodstock Accessibility Advisory Committee conducted assessments with a focus on people, aspects, and how each organization's employees or volunteers make an impact and related to accessibility in the city of Woodstock. We thought it was very important to focus on how people are making accessible, not just how the buildings are accessible. So I would like to give the award to, we have 3 awards to hand out, and I will hand out the first one. Okay, so our first award is to Crafty Corner Tea Room and the owner, Marnie Cuthbert, and her staff. Crafty Corner Tea Room infuses accessibility into its workplace culture in a way that goes above and beyond basic compliance. The organization excels in fostering an inclusive and in supportive workplace by actively hiring individuals with disabilities and implementing creative solutions to improve customers and employee experiences. The organization's innovative practices in the community involvement and dedication to continuous improvement positions as a strong candidate for accessibility and recognition. For example, the management of the staff have completed disability awareness and confidence training and actively recognize their staff's improvement and reliability. So if I can call up Marnie and her staff. You can come stand here. Yeah. So our second organization is the Woodstock Navy Vets. The Woodstock Navy Vets Hockey Organization has demonstrated a steadfast commitment to accessibility, inclusion, and community engagement by actively reducing barriers for persons with disabilities. The Woodstock Navy Vets have created an environment where individuals of all abilities are welcomed, valued, empowered, and participate meaningfully. For example, on any given day, Woodstock Navy Vets relies approximately on 30 volunteers, including 8 individuals with physical or intellectual disabilities. As valued members of the Woodstock Navy Vet family, each volunteer is assigned responsibilities based on capabilities while accommodating individual limitations through thoughtful manner. I welcome up Karen Schneider. Thank you, Karen. And lastly, but just alphabetical order, we have chosen Your Farm Market. Your Farm Market demonstrates a strong commitment to accessibility through both physical design and exceptional customer service. The store offers accessible entrances, wide pathways, clear signage, accessible parking, and proactive staff to support seniors and customers with disabilities. YFM's culture of personal service, community connection, and practical assistance sets them apart.
For example, the staff go above and beyond to assist customers who are elderly or have disabilities by carrying their grocery items into the checkout counter or to the vehicle. And they also make sure to recognize their customers that may have some struggles and they know who they are before they even walk in the store. So they're really great. So if I can invite Shelby up. Thank you.
I'd just like to say thank you to you and as well as the entire committee. I know how difficult it is to go through and choose when we have so many great community partners here. So thank you to everybody in the city for doing their part to make it accessible. So thank you. Again, thank you everyone for being here tonight on that. That brings us to delegations. 8A, Anita Brown for reinstatement of parking on Drew Street petition. Welcome, please come to the podium and adjust the microphone as needed. Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here. I'm new to Woodstock, so this is new to me. So good evening, worship and counselors. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Annie Brown, and I'm here on behalf of the residents that live at 245 Drew Street here in Waterloo. Waterloo, my apologies, Woodstock. I walk from there, move from there. I'm here this evening in respect to bringing forward concerns regarding the recent parking changes that were implemented on Drew Street in front of our building at 245 Drew Street. For the past 3 years, the residents inside of 245 Drew Street have had access to the on-street parking directly in front of our building. However, March of 2020 of year 2026, no parking signs were installed without any prior communication or notifications to any of the tenants residing in this location. Residents became aware of the changes only after the signs had already been put up. These new restrictions have created a significant challenge for people living in the building, particularly those with the residents who rely on essential in-home support services. Many tenants depend on regular visits from the organizations such as the Victorian Orders of Nurses, personal support workers, healthcare providers, as well as any other service professionals. Um, for an example, we have a delivery of oxygen tanks being delivered to our building for a tenant monthly. So with this change, it's making it increasingly difficult for these individuals to have access to the building safely, efficiently, and in a timely manner. In addition to family members and caregivers and visitors who assist these residents now have limited or actual no parking in some particular cases at all, and there's no even short-term parking options available as well. So that makes it difficult. This has created an undue burden for the tenants, particularly those with the mobility limitations, medical conditions, or ongoing care needed that is required consistently, consistent support to those residents as well. We respectfully ask that Woodstock City Council would review the current parking restrictions in front of 245 Drew Street and consider any possible solutions, possibly including reinstating limited short-term on-street parking as one, designating specific parking spaces for healthcare care or service workers, as well as implementing a permanent system or time-limited parking option for caregivers as well as visitors. So our goal is just to simply ensure that our residents can continue to receive essential care in a safe, and reasonable time accessible to their homes. With this being said, we appreciate your time, your consideration, and your attention in this matter, and also really look forward to a fair, compassionate resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Any, yeah, please.
All right.
Please, I'm going to ask if
Sure.
anybody has any questions,
my
if that's
apologies.
okay. Any questions of
My
Ms.
apologies.
Brown? No problem. Councillor Schattenberg.
From what I understand from the mayor through to our delegation, there are 78 units in the building altogether. And how many parking spots are there on the outside and the inside, like underground parking or in the building parking spots altogether?
There are 80 inside underground parking, and we have no visitors parking because we have the residents now taking what is as, can I just look back at one person, just for instance, the outside parking lot. We have how many, do we, yeah. How many do we have there? 20. Yeah, I think I'm not sure of the exact number on the outside. I just know that we were supposed to have 11 visitors parking spots, which now our residents are actually required to take these visitors spots as well, because we don't have enough spaces for all the tenants.
For example, do you know whatsoever, I know you've only been there for a year and the
Yeah,
building's older than
quite a
that.
year, just about
but
10 months. Yeah.
The 5 spots directly off Oxford Street, would you know if any of the tenants have said that those were specifically supposed to be for visitors parking? Or does anybody know what the number might be?
On Oxford Street, right outside.
Yeah, there's like 5 spots.
Yeah,
right off
we
Oxford
can,
Street.
yes, correct. We have about 4 spots there, but they were not made for tenants. They're made for just visitors or whoever, anywhere on Oxford or any other street around can use those spots. They're not assigned to anybody officially.
Therefore, I guess I got a question for the planner who's here tonight, and I know he was not the planner from Oxford County at the time this building was built, but what should the percentage be of parking spots for the number of units?
Right. So as far as I've been made aware of from the actual Southgate, I guess it's called, our lease people, it's 1.23 per tenant.
Yeah, we'll have an opportunity to ask staff and
Yeah.
members after the delegation is finished. Any other questions for the delegation? Seeing none. Oh, Councillor Lauder.
Thank you, through the mayor to Ms. Brown. Thank you for coming forward.
Thank you.
Are there supposed to be visitor parking inside also?
No, none inside.
So they would all have, and
It was
because I
supposed to be-
understand you need
yeah.
a fob to get in, so.
That's correct. It's all
impossible.
secure parking.
Yes.
And we
so-
do have garages secured, and those are bought by, or rented by some tenants. And there's just 22 of those as well.
Okay,
So yes,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
If I can just add to that, Councillor Lauder, because of the question, I did receive an email earlier saying that there's 12 visitor parking inside. At least they're supposed to be. So I'm quite
Ab-
curious now if
I
there
can-
isn't.
I can absolutely
No,
say
I'm
there's
getting a whole
none.
bunch of
There's absolutely
head
no
shakes,
visitors.
so
no.
that's the
We
that's the
have-
curiosity part.
We have
yes.
company, people have company, and we have absolutely no
So
visitors.
there's none inside at all that you're aware of.
Absolutely none. I know for a fact. I can say for sure.
Okay,
For
thank
sure.
you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Colin.
Thank you. Yep, continue. Councillor Lauder.
Just one more question
Yes.
to Ms. Brown.
Thank you.
Has there ever been any arrangement by the owner of the property to park on the other side of the street?
So when, thank you for asking that question. So when I approached the owner, the lease management, um, in regards to, I had heard that this situation was going to happen as being new to the building. I did know that this situation was going to take place, and I had made them aware in February that there was a decision made about this coming. I wasn't sure of when it was coming, and I had asked them to call to the city because I was under the understanding that they were to, from them had said to me that they were to work together or to be notified if there was any changes that were going to arise. But that they said they had never, well, I know that there was never any they didn't work together. You're welcome.
Any other questions from Ms. Brown? Councillor Shattenberg?
I just want to thank the delegation because obviously a lot of door knocking has occurred to be able to get these petitions signed that are part of our agenda here tonight for councilors at least to look at. So that wouldn't be easy to do. So I certainly commend you for getting the number of signatures you've got.
Yes, it was quite welcome. Thank you so much.
Any other questions of the delegation? Well, I'd also like to say thank you very much. Again,
Thank
we
you.
don't know what we don't know. We say that all the time. So by bringing issues forward, we appreciate it.
I
So
really
thank you.
appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Looking for a motion on the floor? Then we'll open up for debate. Councillor Lauder?
Thank you. I'll move that Woodstock City Council refer the request for Anita Brown for reinstatement of parking on Drew Street to staff for a report.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Leatherborough, discussion or questions? Seeing none, I'll just say I think that's the right move. We'll get engineering to look at things as well as planning and see what are possible there. So with that, I'll call the vote. All those, oh, sorry, yes, Councillor Lauder.
I'm just going to ask this quick question to the engineering. Is there, I know it'll take a while to get a report, at least I'm sure, because I know that staff is very busy. Is there any kind of interim relief that could help these people out, especially for the home care people that they need? I'll ask Mr. Dublin.
Your worship, through the councillor, without changing the parking bylaws, there's no interim relief. We can approach the property management company and see about see what they can do possibly. Otherwise, I would suggest maybe that maybe some kind of accommodation be kind of looked at on a neighboring property such as the school across the street.
Okay, and if I may continue along those lines through to the engineer, what kind of timeline, since we have so many residents here, would we expect to get a report back to be considered?
Your worship, through the councillor, your worship, sorry, through to you. We'll try to get back by the end of the summer.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else before I call the vote? All those in favor? That is carried, none opposed. Thank you, and if we can get something put together as soon as possible, that would be greatly appreciated. Next up, next delegation is 8B, Margaret Hamilton. Thanks, everybody, for being here tonight. Welcome, and this is for the application for official plan amendment and zone change to 190 Huron Street.
That's right. Yes, you're
Welcome.
Thank you, Your Worship and City Councilors. My name is Margaret Hamilton. My husband and I reside at 7 Altador Crescent in Woodstock here. And our property backs up to the westerly portion of 190 Huron Street, which has been proposed for stack housing. Tuesday, we came to the meeting and we were told that there were housing on Athlon Ave. So, and this is just strictly an observation. Bill and I took a drive over and had a look at the stacked housing there. And I must say these buildings were quite high. I think that they're going to swamp both the Tobin Place and Hayball residents. I think they're possibly one story lower would fit the neighborhood a whole lot better. If you decide to vote for this proposal, we request that a 9-foot fence be put across the back of our property simply for privacy. And that's all. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Hamilton? Seeing none? Okay, well, thank you very much for
Thank
coming
you.
forward and for coming on Tuesday evening. No resolution is required as this delegation refers to consideration of planning reports, item 9B, so we'll be there in a couple of minutes. That brings us to consideration of planning reports. 9A, application for consent for 980 Juliana Drive. Mr. Miller. Welcome.
Good evening, council, staff, and members of the public. Application B25658 Criscott Properties LTD. The subject lands are described as parcel 1717, section East Oxford 2, part lot 17, concession 2, in the city of Woodstock. The lands front onto the south side of Juliana Drive, lying between Springbank Avenue and Longworth Lane, and are municipally known as 980 Juliana Drive. The subject lands are designated business park in the official plan and are zoned restricted industrial M2 in the zoning bylaw. The intent of the application for consent is to create one new 1.5 hectare lot encompassing an existing woodlot and retain one 1.8 hectare lot used for a continued industrial use. The lands to be retained contain an industrial building and associated parking and loading spaces. The lands to be severed are wooded and no new development is proposed as part of this application. With respect to the PPS, the proposal is consistent with the intensification and redevelopment policies of the application, and the application is considered an efficient use of land and municipal infrastructure within a service settlement area. With respect to the relevant official plan policies for business park areas, staff are of the opinion that the proposal is consistent with the intent of these areas, which are planned for low-intensity industrial, technological, office, business, and business support uses. The area surrounding the subject property is characterized by a variety of lot sizes and shapes. The proposed severed and retained lots are compatible with other lots and development in the area in this regard. For council's information, the woodlot on the lands to be severed is considered a non-ecologically important woodland within the Oxford Natural Heritage System study. The official plan identifies environmental impact studies as a requirement for development or site alteration within or adjacent to significant woodlands. However, this site is not identified as a significant woodland and no development is proposed on the lands to be severed. The city's Parks and Forestry Department considers the lands to be a woodlot, and a woodlot is not permitted to be removed according to the city's tree preservation bylaws without permission from the city's Parks and Forestry Department. The proposed consent will not jeopardize the existing and planned uses of the subject lands or commercial activity and industrial uses in the vicinity. Planning staff support the application for consent and recommend that it be approved, subject to the conditions.
Thank you. Any questions of the planner? Seeing none, looking for a motion. Councillor Tate?
I'll move that Woodstock City Council advise the Land Division Committee that the city supports application B25-65-8 submitted by Criscott Properties Limited for lands described as parcel 17-17, section East Oxford, 2-part lot 17, concession 2, designated as part 4, 41R-833 East Oxford, subject to an easement in favor of the Corporation of Woodstock over part 1, 41R 3143 as in LT 23158 in the city of Woodstock to sever an existing woodlot for an existing industrial development on the subject land, subject to the conditions outlined in the report 1 through 5. And further, any comments received from the public were reviewed and considered before the decision was made in relation to this planning matter.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Counselor Martin, discussion or further questions? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed? That is carried. That brings us to 9B, B 26-05-8 and ZN 8-26-04 for 1401 Dundas Street. Mr. Miller.
Good evening. Application for consent and zone change, B 26058 and ZN 8-2604 in the name of 1401 Dundas Street Holdings, Inc. The subject lands are described as Part Lot 14, Concession 1, formerly in Blandford, Part 2, Plan 41R 1144, TW 454670, partially released by 454671, Part Lot 14, Concession 18, formerly Blandford, and Part 2, 41R 7788. The lands are located on the northeast corner of Woodall Way and Dundas Street and are municipally known as 1401 Dundas Street. The subject lands are designated traditional industrial in the official plan. They're currently zoned general industrial M3 and special general industrial M39. Those zones are intended to be retained. It's just a portion that is zoned M39 in the green on plate 1 there will also become just M3 now. The application for consent proposes to create one new industrial lot. The lot to be severed is approximately 1.5 hectares in size and would maintain approximately 132.4 meters of lot frontage on Woodall Way. A storage shed currently exists on the proposed lot to be severed, which is to be removed. The future use of the proposed lot to be retained will be a one-story industrial building. The proposed lot to be retained would be approximately 2 hectares in size and would maintain approximately 118.8 meters of frontage on Dundas Street and approximately 172.4 meters of frontage on Woodall Way. Currently, the lot to be retained contains 3 Quonset huts and a 2-story office warehouse. The existing Quonset huts are proposed to be removed, while the office/warehouse will remain. A zone change has also been received to rezone a portion of the subject lands from special general industrial M39 to general industrial M3. Following the proposed severance and zone change, the lot to be severed will be zoned M3, and the lot to be retained will remain zoned M39. In the opinion of planning staff, the proposal is consistent with the PPS, as the proposed consent will efficiently facilitate future industrial development on a parcel that will be served by full municipal services and is in close proximity to major transportation networks such as Dundas Street and Highway 401. The proposed development of the subject lands will provide an opportunity for new industrial development on the lands that are presently designated for industrial purposes in the county's official plan and are also zoned for industrial purposes in the city's zoning bylaw. The lands to be severed and retained will be of sufficient area to accommodate existing and future industrial uses, and the proposed lot to be severed will comply with the provisions of the M3 zone, while the lot to be retained will comply with all provisions of the M39 zone. Detailed matters such as lot grading, access, stormwater management, and servicing will be addressed through the site plan approval process to the satisfaction of the city. It's the opinion of this office that the proposal to create one new building lot for industrial purposes is consistent with the policies of the PPS and generally maintains the intent and purpose of the official plan. As such, planning are satisfied that the proposal can be given support from a planning perspective, subject to the recommended conditions. Further, planning staff are supportive of the submitted zone change application to rezone the lot to be severed from M3 and M39 to exclusively M3, and recommend that the city approve in principle the application. Once the required survey is received and the necessary schedules are prepared, staff will bring the amending zoning bylaw back to be passed by council at a later council meeting. As such, staff recommend approval in principle of the zone change and recommend that council support the severance application to the Oxford County Land Division Committee.
Thank you. Any questions of the planner? Seeing none, looking for a motion. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
I move that Woodstock City Council approve in principle the zone change application, file number ZN 8-26-04, submitted by 1401 Dundas Street Holdings, Inc., whereby a portion of the lands described as Part Lot 14, Concession 1, Blandford, Part 2, Plan 41R 1144, TW 454670 as partially released by 454671, Part Lot 14, Concession 18, Blandford, Part 2, 41R-7788 in the city of Woodstock are to be rezoned from General Industrial Zone M3 and Special General Industrial Zone M3-9 to General Industrial Zone M3 to facilitate the proposed severance, and that Woodstock City Council advised the Oxford County Land Division Committee that it supports consent application B26-05-8 submitted by 1401 Dundas Street Holdings, Inc. for lands described as Part Lot 14, Concession 1, Blandford, Part 2, Plan 41R-1144, TW 454670, as partially released by 454671, Part Lot 14, Concession 18, Blandford, Part 2, 41R-7788 in the city of Woodstock, subject to the following conditions 1 through 10 outlined in the report, and that further that any comments received from the public were reviewed and considered before the decision was made in relation to this planning matter.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder? Councillor Lauder, discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed. And I just remembered I didn't take any more allergy meds before we started. Next up, 9C, OP 26-02-8 and ZN 8-26-01 for 190 Huron Street, Inc. Welcome back, Planner Miller, Mr. Planner Miller.
I hope I drank enough for this one because it's a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Applications for official plan amendment and zone change, OP 26028 and ZN 8-2601 in the name of 190 Huron Street, Inc. The subject lands are described as Lot 24C, Plan 216, Part Lot 1, Plan 445 in the city of Woodstock. The lands are located on the east and west sides of Huron Street, north of Knightsbridge Road, and are municipally known as 190 and 196 Huron Street, and are a parking lot on the west side of Huron Street with no municipal address. The subject lands are currently designated neighborhood shopping center in the official plan, and are proposed to be redesignated to medium density residential with a special policy area. The subject lands are currently zoned shopping center commercial or C2 in the zoning bylaw, and are proposed to be rezoned to special residential zone type 3. Applications have been received to amend the official plan and the city's zoning bylaw to permit the development of a stacked townhouse development on 2 properties located on opposite sides of Huron Street. The subject lands contain the former Salvation Army thrift store and a large parking area directly across on Huron Street. The official plan amendment proposes to redesignate the subject lands from neighborhood shopping center to medium density residential with a special policy area to facilitate the proposed increase in residential density on the site. The zone change application proposes to rezone the subject lands from shopping center commercial to special residential zone type 3. The proposed zoning will facilitate the proposed stacked townhouse development and requested zone provisions regarding minimum lot area per dwelling unit, minimum front yard depth, minimum side yard widths, minimum landscaped open space, maximum height, minimum parking, I should say, setbacks from parking, and special area provisions for projections, including stairs, landings, and patios. If approved, staff proposed to establish separate site-specific zones for each side of Huron Street based on the separate zone provisions requested. The subject lands on the east side of Huron Street, which are 190 to 196 Huron Street, comprise an approximate area of 2,604.9 square meters and contain the existing structure most recently used as a thrift store. The subject lands on the west side of Huron Street comprise an area of approximately 4,417.4 square meters and contains an existing parking area that was utilized by the thrift store and other historical commercial uses that operated within the building. The applications propose to remove the existing building and replace them with 3 new structures 2 on the west side of Huron Street and 1 on the east. The proposal intends to develop 3 structures with a maximum height of 14.5 meters. As part of the complete application, the applicants have provided a traffic impact study, servicing study, environmental site assessment, and planning justification report. Planning staff are of the opinion that the subject proposal is consistent with the policies of the PPS, as the development is an efficient use of underutilized lands and existing and planned municipal services within a fully serviced settlement area. The development also contributes to housing types and densities required to meet the projected requirements of current and future residents of the city and broader regional market area. The proposal conforms to the criteria required to designate additional lands for medium-density residential purposes. The subject lands are located on Huron Street, which is designated as an arterial road within the city. The subject lands are located in close proximity to 2 city-owned parks, Knightsbridge and Sutherland Parks, are less than 1 kilometer from additional parks, shopping area opportunities, and other community supportive facilities. And the subject lands also make up a portion of an existing neighborhood shopping center designation. The subject lands require a special policy area to be added to the proposed medium density residential designation due to the proposed density of the project. The official plan directs that a maximum net residential density in the medium density residential districts is 70 units per hectare, and no building shall exceed 4 stories in height at street elevation. The concept plan submitted with the application identifies structures that contain 3 stories above grade and 1 story partly above grade and partly below grade, conforming to the medium density criteria. However, the proposed net densities exceed the maximum density of 70 units per hectare, and a special provision is required to support the proposed development. The property on the east side of Huron Street is proposed for 20 units and will have an approximate density of 77 units per hectare. The property on the west side of Huron Street is proposed for 44 units and will have an approximate density of 99.5 units per hectare. The overall density of the proposal will have an approximate density of 91.2 units per hectare. Although the proposed built form conforms to the density policies, the unit per hectare calculation exceeds the limits within the medium density residential designation, and planning staff are of the opinion that it is appropriate to recognize the proposal as a medium density residential with a special policy area rather than redesignating the subject lands to high density residential, finding the built form consistent with the medium density residential development and finding the density of 91.2 hectares closer to the medium densities of 70 units per hectare maximum than the high densities maximum of 150 units per hectare. With respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment, staff are supportive of the applicant's request to establish alternative zoning provisions for both the east and west property. For the west property, the applicants have proposed a minimum lot area of 100 square meters per dwelling unit, and the east property, the applicants propose a lot area of 130 square meters per dwelling unit, where the R3 zone requires a minimum lot area of 150 square meters per dwelling unit. Minimum lot area provisions are intended to ensure that sufficient space is provided for a structure, grading, drainage, and amenity spaces. The requested minimum lot areas are considered adequate due to the many city-owned parks in the area, and no concerns have been raised with the concept plans regarding grading or drainage. Additionally, the requested reduced lot area per dwelling unit has become more commonly accepted for townhouse proposals in the city in recent years. The reduced lot area is not expected to negatively impact the functioning of the site, and the site plan control process will be implemented to ensure that the functionality of the development relative to concerns such as grading, drainage, and amenity areas are maintained. For both the east and west properties, the applicants have proposed a minimum front yard depth of 3 meters, where the R3 zone requires a minimum depth of 6 meters. Minimum front yard depths are intended to ensure that adequate space is provided for off-street parking, to ensure that buildings are safely set back from the traveled right of way, and to provide consistency to the established building line. The city's zoning bylaw contains provisions for established building lines. Established building line provisions state that where existing developments on either side of the middle lot have legal non-conforming front yard depths, the main building of the middle lot may be reduced to the average yard depth or 3 meters, whichever is greater. For both properties, established building line provisions are likely to apply, but the proposed provision in the amending bylaws are intended to clarify this. For the property on the east side of Huron Street, the commercial uses to the north appear to be established on or very close to the property line, and the first house south of Knightsbridge Road appears to be set approximately 2 meters from Huron Street. Further, the existing thrift store appears to be built on or very close to the property line. For the property on the west side of Huron Street, the houses on either side appear to be established approximately 1 and 4.5 meters from the property lines respectively. Further, individual driveways are not proposed on either side of Huron Street, and adequate off-street parking is provided in parking lots behind the proposed structures. The reduced front yard depths are not expected to negatively impact the functioning of the site and generally conform to the established building line provisions in the zoning bylaw. For the east property, the applicant has also requested a minimum exterior side yard width of 3.5 meters, where the R3 zone establishes an exterior side yard of 6 meters. Exterior side yard widths are intended to ensure that sufficient space is provided to locate buildings from the traveled portion of the public street, to ensure that sight lines are maintained and intersect from intersections, and to provide consistency to the streetscape. Of note, the existing building is currently located at or near the property line on the exterior side yard, and the proposed 3.5 meter setback is an improvement that is consistent with the setbacks provided in the established building lines. The proposed building is located outside of the required site triangle for the intersection, and no negative impacts are anticipated. For the west property, the applicant has requested a minimum interior side yard width of 5 meters, not including patios or decks, where the R3 zone has established a minimum interior side yard width of 3 meters for this type of development. The orientation of the proposed structures of this development causes the side yards to effectively function as rear yards rather than a side yard, and an increased side yard setback is intended to provide more space for decks, patios, and to provide additional space from the adjacent single detached dwellings. Staff have no objections to the proposed increased interior side yard width and recommend that it be included in the amending zoning bylaw. For the west property, a minimum landscaped open space of 34% is requested. And for the east property, a minimum landscaped open space of 30% is requested, where the bylaw requires a minimum of 35%. Landscaped open spaces are intended to ensure that adequate space for amenities and recreation is provided. The requested reductions can be considered minor, in the opinion of planning staff, as numerous city-owned parks are in close proximity to the lands to provide additional opportunities for recreation. The reduced landscaped open space is not expected to negatively impact the functioning of the site, and the site plan control process will be implemented to ensure the functionality of the development. The maximum height for the proposed development in the R3 zone is 3 stories. As previously discussed, for both the east and west properties, a maximum height of 14.5 meters is requested to clarify that three above grade stories and 1 partially up below grade is permitted through this application. The proposed height is not anticipated to negatively impact the adjacent properties and is in keeping with the intent of the zone provisions for height. Both the east and west properties are requesting reductions to the minimum parking standards. For the west property, the applicants have requested a reduction to 1.38 parking spaces per unit plus visitor parking. In addition, the city's building department has identified an additional deficiency of 1 parking space for the required visitor parking. No request has been made for reductions to reduce the number of parking spaces for the east property. The requested parking space rate has become more commonly accepted in multiple proposals in the city in recent years. The reduced parking space rate is not expected to negatively impact the functioning of the site, and the site plan control process will be implemented to ensure the functionality of parking areas. It is noted that there is limited opportunity for off-street parking in this location. The west property has requested a reduced setback for parking areas for the south lot of 1.1 meters, where the zoning bylaw requires a setback of 1.5 meters from lot lines. Minimum parking area setbacks are required to ensure that sufficient spaces are provided from parking areas to the property lines and the right-of-way to prevent trespass or other obstructions. Currently, a property line fence exists to prevent trespass, and the existing parking on the site provides no setback from the property line at this time. The reduced parking space rate is not expected to negatively impact the functioning of the site, and the site plan control process will be implemented to ensure functionality and limit the impacts of parking areas on adjacent properties. Through the review process, it's also been identified that 1 parking space on the eastern property is partially located within the front yard in this concept plan. The zoning bylaws general provisions do not permit residential uses without private driveways to locate parking in front yards. As such, a provision must be included to permit one parking space in the front yard. Due to the limited number of spaces in the front yard and the improvement of the proposed parking area relative to the current situation, staff are supportive of this provision being included. The eastern property has also requested a minimum setback of 16.5 meters from the center line of an arterial road, where the R3 zone requires a minimum setback of 18.5 meters. Setback distances from arterial roads are established to ensure a safe distance is provided from busier arterial roads. Staff generally have no concerns with the reduction requested through the 16.5 meter setback, and note that a road widening block for each property adjacent to Huron Street will be transferred to Oxford County as part of the site plan process. The zoning bylaw permits projections into required yards for stairs, landings, and patios. The zoning bylaw permits projections into required yards. For stairs, landings, and patios of both the eastern and western properties, the applicants have requested reduced minimum setbacks between the projection and the lot line. Minimum distances for projections are generally established to provide a safe distance between adjacent properties and to ensure the functionality of the projected uses. For the western property, stairs, landings, and patios are requested to project to a minimum of 1.2 meters from the property line. For the eastern property, the same projections are requested to project a minimum of 1.8 meters from the property line. These projections are generally close to what is permitted by the bylaw or are minor deviations from the standards. For instance, steps providing to access above ground floor and balconies above ground floor are permitted to project to 1.2 meters from a lot line. The proposed projections are not anticipated to impact the functioning of the site or adjacent properties, and site plan control will be implemented to ensure the functionality of the site. This office is of the opinion that this office is of the opinion that the proposed amendment to the official plan to accommodate the proposed development of the subject lands generally complies with the relevant policies of the OP respecting medium-density residential development, and the proposed zoning bylaw is considered appropriate for the proposed development and can be given favorable consideration. As such, staff recommend support of the official plan amendment to County Council, and that council approve in principle the zone change application.
Would you be mad at me if I said you had to repeat that?
Yeah.
Good, because I don't. Totally kidding. Okay, any questions of the planner? Councillor Shattenberg.
Sorry, I guess my first question through to the planner is, the one where the pool's food lane used to be the east side of the road, there's actually 5 front doors on Huron Street, of which none of them have parking at their front door, which would mean, like, I'm thinking of somebody going grocery shopping or whatnot, could have quite a distance to get to their front access to get into their unit. Is that true?
Through the mayor, yes, I believe that's true. There's no rear access to the.
And as I said on Tuesday night, it would certainly be nice to have had these looked at separately, east side versus west side, because I think both of them have intricate different needs and differences that are either pluses or negatives. For example, on the west side of the road, I look at the townhouses, for example, that were built on 343 Huron Street, and I know sometimes you'll have to look at what's already existing in the city of Woodstock to see if it should be or could be duplicated. But I know at 343 Huron, those were townhouses backing onto Shenstone Street, for example, in which there wasn't much of a backyard, but at least they were townhouses, 2 stories, not 3.5 stories that are gonna be backing onto either Tobin Place or on the other side, Hayball Street, with very, very little backyards. And so that would be the one area that I would have a huge concern over myself, as far as the overall design and layout of that goes.
Thank you. Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. Through the mayor to Mr. Miller. So the density in an R3 is 30 units per acre. Is that correct?
Yeah, the density is actually established through the official plan, so it's not through the zone specifically, but through the medium density designation.
Okay, so on the east side, the pool side, so that is, you mentioned 99.5, so that would calculate out to about 40 units per acre. So that's 10 higher than,
I don't like to do math in public, but I believe so.
okay, I've done it.
I'm gonna look at the engineers.
Good. Okay, and I'm just saying this, and on the west side, it's 37 units per acre, so which is quite high, so, okay, I'll just leave it there.
Any other questions of the planner? Counselor Sandberg.
Yeah, from the mayor through to Mr. Miller, I guess the question would be, is the delegation asked about the height of fences that could possibly be built at the back of the lot or even all the way around the lot on the west side of Huron Street? What is the current sort of zoning permission in the city of Woodstock? Is it 8 feet for a privacy fence, or would 9 feet actually be beyond something that the city might not even want to consider?
Through the mayor, I am not 100%, like, I don't deal with fences a lot in the planning and zoning provision, but I believe it's 8 feet. I also believe that we've varied that occasionally. So if we receive that direction, we can look into that if it's required.
That was the question I was going to ask as well, as per the delegation's request, to look at site plan controls and what can be done to limit the effects in neighborhoods like we discussed on Tuesday night. Anyone else have questions for the planner? Seeing none? Okay, thank you. Looking for a motion on the floor? Counselor Martin?
Thank you, Mayor Anthony, through you. That Woodstock City Council advised County Council that the city supports the application to amend the official plan, file number OP 26-02-8, submitted by 190 Huron Street Inc. for lands legally described as Lot 24C, Plan 216, and Part Lot 1, Plan 445, City of Woodstock, to redesignate the subject lands to medium-density residential with a special policy area to facilitate the development of a 64-unit multiple stacked townhouse dwelling development on the subject lands. And further, that Woodstock City Council approve in principle the zone change application file number ZN 8-26-01, submitted by 190 Huron Street Inc. for lands legally described as Lot 24C, Plan 216, and Part Lot 1, Plan 445 in the City of Woodstock to rezone the lands to Special Residential Zone 3, R3 Special, to facilitate a 64-unit multiple stack townhouse dwelling development with site-specific provisions related to lot area, yard setbacks, landscaped open space, projections for stairs, landings and patios, height, parking, and setbacks from an arterial road. And further, that any comments received from the public were reviewed and considered before the decision was made in relation to this planning matter.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Counselor Leatherborough, discussion or further questions? Counselor Tate?
Through the chair, I will not be supporting this application. I don't believe it's in keeping with the neighborhood, but one of my main concerns is the lack of green space, no trees, lack of parking, the high intensification. I had to write some of this down. So that area is quite, when you take a look at it, the homes have been there for years. So when you have that high, they're gonna lose all their privacy around it. And I think when you look at Woodstock, we have grown immensely in a short time. But people live in Woodstock for a way of life and for the look and the feel of it. That has changed dramatically, and I don't want it to keep changing. We know that has to be changed, but how about we keep in mind with what Woodstock is? We're not Toronto. These provincial policies and some of the applications are more geared to Toronto area, not to Woodstock. I'm going to push back on the comments that we always hear that we need more housing. We have a number of permits already sent out that have not or been approved, that the housing is not being done right now because there's not a demand. And I've said before, if there's a lack of housing and there's none in Woodstock, then they can go elsewhere. I don't think this housing is for people in Woodstock or people that live in Woodstock. I think it's outside. we live in a very desirable area because of the way of life and because we are big, but we're a good size, not too big, not too small. And because of our location on the 401, we have easy access to much larger municipalities. Had a conversation with a woman not that long ago. She moved here 10 years ago from Toronto because this is exactly what she was looking for. And she said in the last 10 years, this is not what she was looking for. So the changes that have occurred are not on the positive. Woodstock was never designed to have this much infill and this much intensification. I don't believe our road system can handle it as you look already of what is taking place. And I don't think that we should be doing this, that it has a large effect on people's everyday way of life. I live in a home in an older part of Woodstock and my house is infill. The house across me is infill and kitty corner is infill. All three of our houses were built and designed for the look and the feel of the neighborhood. I think it's extremely important that that is what we keep in mind because this is our city and this is what we enjoy about the city. So I'll say again, the housing issue that we heard so much about was caused by immigration. It was an immigration problem. It has stopped. The people have stopped. The housing issue is not the same. And I've said before, we do not have to grow. And then I hear the other argument, well, if we don't intensify, we're going to use farmland. No, we don't. Because if we don't build anything, we don't have to have them here. So I am not going to support this application because I do not think it in any way helps the way of life in Woodstock, and especially in that neighborhood.
Thank you. Councillor Lauder, or actually, before you start there, I should note that the developer is here in-house. If there is any questions, I'm sure we can ask them to come forward if council wishes. So just thought I'd throw that out there if council would like. Councillor Lauder?
Thank you. I also will not be supporting this application. Many of the reasons have been covered by Councillor Tay. I have an issue with the lack of parking. We've already heard tonight what happens on when we reduce the parking. There just isn't, if they have to park on the streets, we don't want on-street parking. We see enough of that problem. And also I'm very concerned about the lack of green space on the east side. And the addition, and I calculated out the units per acre, and if it's 30, that's and it says that in the report, 30 units per acre, and on the east side it's 40.2, so that it works out to 40.2. So I just think that's too dense now for the area, so I won't be supporting it for those reasons. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Leatherborough?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I wasn't here on Tuesday night. I was fearful of the tornado, so I apologize, but I did watch the planning meeting and the comments that were shared by residents in the neighborhood. So I guess my question to Councillor Lauder or to Councillor Tate is that we've, quote unquote, done this dance a number of times this term. So if green space or parking is the concern, why wouldn't there be a deferral rather than just deferral on denial of this motion that's on the floor? And obviously I'm looking at you, Councillor Lauder, so maybe I'll volley that question to you. It just seems a bit odd that those are all fair perspectives to have, and why not have a deferral when we've been down the road of the Ontario Land Tribunal and all of those complications and how much money that costs, not only the taxpayer, but staff time. So I guess I would ask that question to you.
Thank you. No, I have no reason. I would go for a deferral if there's something else that could better suit that area. I'm all for it. Thank you.
You. Councillor Wismer Van Meer?
I'm through you, Chair. I'm just to piggyback off of what was said. I'm kind of leaning towards a deferral. I have struggled with this one a bit. It's not that I don't see this being an area that could be intensified, but what's been said by Councillor Tate and Councillor Lauder, this might just be a little bit more than what I feel would suit that area. Speaking to a few residents in that live in that neighborhood, surprisingly, there hasn't been a lot of negative. It's just they think they kind of expected, the ones I spoke to at least expected to see this kind of proposal coming forward for it, but they do have concerns with how high they are going to be. I think they were maybe a little surprised to hear exactly what was proposed with the, almost 3.5 stories, I guess is kind of what we could call it. I would support a deferral as well. I think that some conversations, I mean, we've seen it benefit us in having conversations with developers in the past. And I think if that's a possibility, that can have some more open conversation, realizing that they also have some requirements that they need to meet to build this property, but also just hearing the feedback from council and the neighbors, maybe there is a resolution to this before we just say yay or nay.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
A deferral isn't on the floor, but I will not support it. Every single member of this council was invited by this developer to meet on site and talk through the plans. We have been provided renderings, designs, and in the conversations I've had with the developer, they have taken great strides to ensure that stairways go along certain walls so that you're not looking out over neighborhoods, to ensure that privacy is retained. We have a goal in this county of 25% intensification in the city of Woodstock. And if we do not intensify on sites like this and we pass up that opportunity, the next step for us means that we take over agricultural land for more sprawl. So for that reason, I'm supportive of this application the way it is. It is a positive planning report. We all have had plenty of opportunity to ask questions before this moment. And so the motion before you is to approve.
Thank you. Councillor Tate.
Yeah, I'd just like to comment. I've sat here for a long time and this is the process that takes place. And this is where you have the debate about what you want to see. So yes, we all do our homework, but when it comes to the final vote, this is where we do it. So I take offense to some of those comments. And one of the reasons you have the conversation around is to see what other councillors' ideas are, because you don't come in and everybody's already decided without hearing what the other person is saying. So hearing some of the comments from some of my fellow councillors, I'd be happy to make a motion to defer.
Okay. Councillor Schattenberg.
Yeah, I know at the beginning of this discussion on this plan, I had suggested it would be nice to
Sorry,
either.
I thought you were talking to second the,
No, I'm
Okay.
not, no.
all right, then there is a motion being discussed. Is there a seconder for a deferral? Councillor Lauder? Okay, Councillor Tate, do you want to speak to that motion?
Yes, I'm more than happy once I hear some of the discussion from the councillors, their comments. If there's support for the deferral, if they can have more discussion with the residents and come down with something. I don't know if it's possible. I mean, as I've said, we've been through this a number of times. But if it's possible, I would support that.
Councillor Lauder, would you like to talk to that as a seconder at all?
Yes, I think a deferral is good at this time. I'm sure that we've had deferrals before and we've been able to come up with something that both the applicant and the council is something that we can live with. And I think that this is only fair that we do try to accommodate, and we know that something's going to be built there, but let's see if it can be more applicable to what can be served for everyone in the community there.
Thank you. Councillor Schattenberg, would you like the?
No, I guess I got nothing else to add. I made my comments before about the setbacks or the size of the backyards on the west side. of Huron Street, so that's the one I simply cannot live with. The possibly the east side I could maybe live with, but not the west side. That's why I thought it'd be nice if it was proposal A and then proposal B done separately.
Councillor Leatherborough.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I will support the deferral. And again, the reason I suggested that is because I know I have personally reached out to whichever planner regarding green space in the past and found that language to in fact have a deferral to see where there could be some wiggle room. But I do think part of this conversation, as we have residents in the gallery, is also understanding that, yes, we are that perfect, medium, small urban center, and that we are under a lot of pressures, whether it be population, social issues, road services, et cetera, but to remind residents too, the pressures that we're under by the provincial government. So I think that's why I wanted to bring up, our teachings through the Ontario Land Tribunal, as I've already said, which is time and money and staff time. So I appreciate the deferral and we'll see what could possibly be done.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'll certainly speak to the deferral. I was in favor of this application because I have had the opportunity speaking with the developers and getting it to an area that is far more palatable, let's call that, than what was originally proposed as possibilities for that site. The addition of 12 one-bedroom apartments, 26 two-bedroom apartments, and 6 three-bedroom apartments is what the city needs. We don't need a bunch more single-family homes, in my opinion, as nearly as much as we need these apartments. It is, a day doesn't go by that I'm not hearing about the lack of needs for not only our seniors, but also our own kids and trying to keep them around our city. And for that reason, I will vote in favor of the deferral. I think the applicants are great to deal with, and hopefully there is other possibilities that council would consider. Because if we turn this down, in my opinion, it would certainly be turned over by the Land Tribunal, and then we have no say at all. With that, if there's nothing else, I'll call the vote on the deferral. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We have a deferral. That brings us to consideration of correspondence. 10A, Councillor Schanberg.
Yeah, the motion is that the Woodstock City Council supports the resolution received from the municipality of Wawa requesting to amend the Land Transfer Act, and further that the resolution of support be circulated to the Honorable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honorable Peter Bethlenfalvy, the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Rob Flack, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Honorable Ernie Hardeman, Oxford MPP, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, and for their information and consideration.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Lauder, discussion. Would you like to speak to this, Councillor Schanberg?
Yeah, I think from somebody like myself who was in real estate for almost 20 years to talk about the land transfer tax and question about where some of the money goes, I think we should support the municipality of Wawa, at least on the premise that currently there's a $4,000 rebate available, but that's only for homes up to $368,000 for first-time buyers. And the average price of a single detached home or single home in Ontario is now $650,000, as we all can know or could gather. So I'm not necessarily thinking that the rebate should be increased up to zero for a $650,000 house, but I'm always of the feeling that some of these numbers have to be updated, just like things like the sunshine list. So that number be updated from 100,000, sure it should be. So I think the rebate of $4,000 on a home of $368,000 for a first-time buyer, I don't think you could buy a single detached home in any state in Woodstock for that price. So anyway, to increase the threshold, providing within the sale price to have the rebate perhaps go up to $8,000 on a price and creates more housing affordability as well.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none. I like this one, so I thank Councillor Schattenberg for bringing this forward. I mean, absolutely right. Seeing the $4,000, I haven't thought of that before until reading the municipality of Wawa's declaration. So thank you. I think there's a lot of valid and would love to see if they doubled that to make it more reasonable to today's times of pricing. So for that, any other comments or questions before I call the vote? All those in favor? None opposed? That is carried. No presentations from staff or approved agents, no mayor's reports, no councillor reports, but we do have department reports from administrative services. 14A1, the 2026 tax rates. Looking for a motion. Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. I'll move that Woodstock City Council approve the 2026 tax rates and that the necessary bylaw be read.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Tate, discussion or questions? Councillor Lauder.
Since I was the tax collector here a few years ago, I broke my taxes. I had to figure out what my taxes are going to go up. So I just will let the public know that my assessment was 266,000 and the increase for my taxes will be $195.71 broken down. The city portion is an increase of $130.36, which was a 4.11% increase to the city's rates. And the county portion increase was $65.35, which is a 5.2% increase from the county. And the education portion remains the same as last year. The 5.11% increase from the county. It's very important for the citizens to be aware of what is being charged in the budgets that are approved at the county. And their increase is like 5.2%. And I think that we have to be more aware that what happens at the county at the budget time. So thank you. I just wanted to bring that to the attention of my assessment being 266,000. So people that's higher than that will have a larger increase. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tate.
Just through the chair, and I want to thank Councillor Lauder for all her experience in the taxation, and it makes it clear for people to understand. And I've been saying for years, people need to pay attention to what's going over at the county and the amount of money being spent. And it's not just Woodstock residents that need to pay attention to it, but all Oxford County residents, because if they look at their tax bill, I think a lot of them would be shocked to find their county portion is actually higher than their township portion. So that drives a lot of the increases all around Oxford County. So I think it's important to see that because we get blamed for usually the complete increase. So there's going to be another sticker shock this year. So thanks to Councillor Lauder for working that out.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
So just to react to those two comments, what Councillor Lauder just indicated is that 1/3 of her tax bill increase is coming from the county, while 2/3 is coming from the city. And yet I'm hearing accusations of misspending and at the county level. I would say that those are irresponsible comments, given that the county portion was significantly lower as a tax increase than the city. We have to work collaboratively and together to deliver services in Woodstock and Oxford County. If 1/3 of the tax increase came from the county, and yet the county has acknowledged in delegations and in reports here that well over 50% of the services delivered by the county happen to be delivered right here in the city of Woodstock, then we're actually getting more than our fair share for the taxes that we are paying as Oxford County residents who happen to live in Woodstock.
Councillor Tate?
Yeah, through the chair, I would say they are not irresponsible comments, and anybody that pays attention should look at the budget process. So Woodstock pays 36% of everything that is spent there for the entire county. So when I look at it, what are we getting for the increases? And of course, the increase should be lower on the tax bill because we're only paying 36% of it, but you have to look at what that does. So just for an example, we work, our staff here works to bare minimum, and I don't think people realize that. So all they usually see is our budget process. So when we hire somebody, the greater public thinks, oh my gosh, they're hiring another person. So for example, over at the county, there's like 4 tourism people. There's 6 communication people. Their treasury department is over 20 staff. So this is why I say, please pay attention. I don't think it's irresponsible of our comments. I voted against the county budget this term, I think every single year except for one. And it's really important to the citizens of Woodstock and all Oxford County to be aware of what goes on. And I do not think that is irresponsible to point that out as a counselor. Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, I'll just say I certainly, being part of both Oxford County as well as City of Woodstock, we both have needs. There's no question. I certainly don't always agree with all of the needs on either side of the buildings, county or city. But again, this is what councils have decided on and voted on, and this is the approved budget. So for full disclosure, these are the rates for those at home that pay their taxes. With the 4.11% here at the city and the 5.2%, and it was a very, very minimal at the education increase. I did calculate it. It's another $577,555 requirement for education, but it's a very small percentage of an increase there. I mean, that is the reality, and we're all seeing it every single time we go to the grocery store, the gas station, or anywhere else. So unfortunately, we're no different. We do have to work as community partners. And this is a transparency of where your taxes and how they are being spent and what the increases are. So anything further before I call a vote? Councillor Schanberg?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what was said earlier. The education tax rate actually remains unchanged. If there's any numbers that have gone up, it's because we just have more houses, more assessments.
That is correct. Sorry, that is correct. The assessment's higher. Anything else before I call the vote? All those in favor? That is carried. Next up, 14A, 2026 tax rates for the BIA. Looking for a motion? Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
I'll move that Woodstock City Council approve the 2026 tax rates and that the necessary bylaw be read.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Leatherborough. Discussion or questions? Councillor Martin?
Just a quick question to staff. I know that there was an attempt at an AGM back several weeks ago. I was there for part of it and then couldn't attend the rest. Has an AGM been held for the BIA to determine what their to approve their budget so that we can approve these tax rates?
Yeah.
I did a fill in, through your worship to the councilor's question. The did transfer to a town hall. The budget does not, it needs to be presented to their, membership. It does not need to be approved. So it was, that was done on April 13th. They have an AGM scheduled on June 1st, which will, approve the audited financial statements.
Thank you. Councillor Martin?
So just another follow-up question. If there happens to be a change in the BIA's financial needs or any budget's financial needs, can they come back and amend or ask for a budget increase? And the reason I ask is I know the clean team has been doing more work than they traditionally do in the last couple of weeks. And I am concerned that that budget line might exceed what was originally proposed here during budget session back in March.
Mine, through your worship, to the councillor's question, in historically in BIAs, there is an option. It is generally not utilized. In this specific case, there is extra allotment in their 2026 budget for clean streets or for additional staffing if necessary. That was left open just for a general purpose if they needed extra staff, if they wanted to do extra events or whatever. So they've left it as a staffing allotment to cover a clean street if that was the case, or any other extra additional staffing needs.
Maybe, thank you for that, and sorry to put you on the spot, but I'm glad you're here. Memory serves me correct, because I also went to that meeting. There was approximately $20,000, I don't remember the exact number, I apologize to the BIA, of an increase to help cover any other overages, but of course, if there is any increases, they would have to come back. I totally assume, I'm looking at the deputy CAO, for any increases, and we would have the debate here in council before that would be approved. Any other questions or discussions? I'll call a vote. All those in favor? None opposed? That is carried. Nothing from Cultural Services, Parks and Rec, Economic Development, nothing from Clerks, CIO's Office, Human Resources, Fire Services, but there is from Public Works. 14J1, Electric Vehicle Charge-On Program Grant Applications. Did I miss one?
You forgot the asphalt contract.
Oh, I did too. My apologies. Thank you. I put the check mark beside the wrong one. Sorry, 14B1, 2026 Annual Asphalt Program. Thank you, Councillor Schattenberg.
Motion that Woodstock City Council award a tender for the 2026 Annual Asphalt Program to Permanent Paving Limited and the amount of $1,808,888 inclusive of HST.
Thank you for that. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Tate. Discussion or questions? Seeing none, call a vote. All those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. All right, now skipping down to 14J1 for Public Works, Electric Vehicle Charge-On Grant Application. Looking for a motion? Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
I'll move that Woodstock City Council approves the partnership with Charger Crew to construct 6 locations of level 2 and 3 electric vehicle EV charging stations within the city of Woodstock as shown on the list of attachments. And that if approved for Ontario Centre Innovation Funding, City Council approves a new 2026 capital project for installation of 6 EV charging station locations in the amount of $731,327, with $510,397 funded from the EV Charge On program and the remaining cost funded by the Hydro Reserve. And that City Council authorizes the mayor and city clerk to enter into funding agreements with OCI for the award of grant funding and Charger Crew for the supply, installation, operations, and maintenance of the facilities for a period of 5 years. And further, that notice is hereby given that the 2026-2030 capital budget is amended accordingly.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Martin. Discussion or questions? Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
I'm just gonna, through you, your worship, just a general comment from a couple of folks I know in the community that drive electric vehicles. They said, please support this because the more EV charging stations, the better. And I really didn't know a whole lot about these, Councillor Lauder, and I actually just had a little chat before the meeting about what the difference between level 2 and 3 was. But this one individual I spoke to just said, the one will charge my vehicle so much faster that I would really appreciate that if that's possible. So I myself do not drive hybrid or electric, but I know there are a lot of folks that would benefit from having these, and especially folks that are traveling through the area or traveling past Woodstock. They have apps that let them know where to go. So sometimes that means that they'll eat and shop at those locations, which is never a bad thing for our community.
I'll simplify. I've always explained levels 2 and 3 as level 2 is like a garden hose of water coming out. Level 3 is a fire hose for electricity. So to put that in perspective. Yes, Councillor Martin.
Thank you very much. Through you, I want to piggyback on your comments, Councillor Wismer Van Meer. I think that given our proximity to the 403 and the 401, and we're just down the road from the 402, the number of people that are coming through this community that get off the highway because obviously when you have an electric vehicle, it alerts you to where the local charging stations are. But the locations that these are proposed for are ideal for people that are coming here for athletic events, cultural events. And again, as you said, this has an economic spin-off in our community when people stay here while their car is charging, to have a snack, to have a drink, before they get back on the highway. So I'd also like a recorded vote.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Tate.
Yeah, through the chair, I want to thank staff for this report, but I also, the big job that staff did was the funding and doing the application and looking into all of it. So it's actually not coming out of the taxpayer's pocket. I think it was a fantastic job they did. I think it's very beneficial and great job by the staff.
Thank you. Councillor Lauder.
I just have to have a comment here on this. I spoke to Miss Hill, and she explained to me what this level 2 and level 3 was. I had no idea. And I had thought, thanks for the counselor here explaining it, because I was going to ask Mr. Malhavasi for his explanation, but I think you got saved. You didn't have to do it. So thank you.
You're welcome. No. Anyone else? Councillor Schadenberg.
Yeah, from the mayor through to Mr. Mullenhouse, I just wanted to know if there was a chance 2, 3, 4 years down the line that the city can actually be possibly gaining some revenue from this organization or this arrangement.
Through the mayor to the councillor, yes. So we have done a revenue projection. And it does look like a 5-year payback, but it does depend on a few variables in terms of costs and what we would consider for charging rates. But it does look like it will be a favorable opportunity financially in probably year 5.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, then I'll just add that I'm certainly in favor of this. Back in 2024, our council also voted in favor of the first application. This is that second kind of intake. So similar to our first, I think this time it is much stronger thanks to the charger crew, local company helping out and giving us some good input and assistance with the application. I would say not very rarely a week will go by that somebody isn't in my office, and as we're ending up the meeting, they'll ask where the closest charger is nowadays. It happens very often. And it would be nice to say a few more locations, and those locations for the public watching being discussed. It is Cowan Sportsplex, Reeves Complex, Southside Aquatic Center, Brock Street parking lot, Peel Street parking lot, and Adelaide Street parking lot. So if this is successful, I believe we're supposed to hear possibly the end of this month, and then plan on starting right away, and hopefully they'll be up and running by the end of the year. So anyone else before I call the vote? Oh, recorded vote. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Wisner Van Meer,
Yes.
Mayor Accioni,
Yes.
Councillor Lauder,
Yes.
Councillor Leatherbarrow,
Yes.
Councillor Martin,
Yes.
Councillor Schadenberg,
Yes.
Councillor Tate,
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Nothing from information technologies. Now I'm double checking my list here before I go on. 15, Special Committee Advisory Task Force reports. 15A is the Food Insecurity and 2026 funding request. Looking for a motion? Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
I'll move that Woodstock City Council approves $2,100 from the Community and Social Wellbeing Reserve for the Woodstock Public Library.
We're back. Stream is back. I'm knocking on wood. We are back. Hold, hold. I'm going to say proceed.
Okay, we all ready? All right, we are back. Sorry for those watching at home. We did have some minor technical difficulties. Where were we? Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Yes, I was just asking if Matthew might be able to, on behalf of the Woodstock Public Library, just quickly explain exactly what the $2,100 is being proposed to do. It's a bit of a new concept, at least for our community, and something that I personally thought was really neat to kind of get this pilot project up and going.
Works. You give a book, take a book. This is what the little free pantry is going to be in essential. Basically, we build a little free pantry, and it'll have 24/7 access to feminine hygiene products, to food, to just things to keep Woodstock people safe and secure, something they can grab. What we're proposing is to build a structure very similar to a little free library. We have that's where the fundings kind of come from. We do have one ask from the city of Woodstock to help us with concrete foundation, but that's part of the cost as well. And this, the Little Free Pantry will be stocked and stocked by people, by staff at the library, by community volunteers. And I guess another thing too is we're able to bring this little free pantry inside if it does become an issue with, say, vandalism or neglect. We are able to bring it into the foyer of the library itself, especially if it's very cold outside. We might be able to do that too. So we can move the little free library. We have a lot of volunteers, and basically the price is for construction and for stocking the little free pantry for 1.5 years.
Continue.
Thank you so much. The proposal is in the agenda, of course, for folks if they want to read more about it. But I think what some of the conversations, what I really liked is the fact that this isn't meant to take away from what other groups and organizations are doing. This is to complement what is being done. But the CEO, Ms. Harris, as she presented to us in that presentation, was there are a lot of young folks that go to the library. It's a safe space for them. And a lot of them don't come with food, unfortunately, and it can become embarrassing and sometimes a barrier and hindrance for them to ask for a snack. And I think if this is something that can be provided there, they can grab snacks. Will it be abused and maybe people take more than they need? It could very well happen, but that's not what the purpose is. This is to make sure that those who do need it have that accessibility. And I think it's a great idea. I really love the idea, and I applaud everyone at the library who's come forward and come up with this concept.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you. As the seconder, I fully support this. I was so enthusiastic when I saw this come forward at the library board, and I know that I mentioned at that time, would we be be able to include feminine products, which is uncomfortable for some people, but so incredibly necessary when we have people experiencing poverty. So thank you for taking that suggestion and weaving it in. There's a number of companies out there that will donate products specifically for this type of use. So I'm thrilled to see this. The food aspect, food literacy. Libraries are all about literacy, and food literacy is incredibly important, well beyond just book literacy and computer literacy. I think it weaves in nicely to what the public library does. And I know you have some other grant applications out there that I hope will also support this initiative and just kind of take our library above and beyond the services that we currently offer. So well done. So excited to see this.
Thank you. Councillor Tate.
Through the chair, I echo all the comments. Just, will there be something going out, say, to the schools or just for awareness, so they don't have to ask what exactly it is? Just so, one of the things I find it's kind of difficult, like say with the FAIR program, not enough people know about it, so they don't know to ask about it. So as long as those that are going to need it are aware that it's there for them, because we do get a lot of high traffic in the library, so it's fantastic.
To answer your question, yes, we do have outreach groups that go to schools actively. So we have staff that go in and out of schools. They can promote that message. We also have a media librarian and a media group, and we have a media plan to put this on social media to let people know in the community. So it will be both word of mouth. It'll be both on the internet to let people know, and go through teachers and everything. So.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'd certainly like to say thank you to yourself and as well as the entire library team. Bringing this to the Mayor's Task Force for Social Wellbeing, I think is perfect. It hits all three of our key priorities of housing and homelessness, food insecurities, as well as youth. We all know how many youth hang out at the library, especially during the day, being across the street from WCI in particular. Anybody that drives by and sees it's definitely a hangout. So I think it's very appropriate. It's very much a need here in the community, and anytime you have a low barrier opportunity, I'm glad we're taking it. So thank you for being open to those discussions and happy to support this. Anyone else before I call the vote? All those in favor? None opposed? That is carried. So thank you.
Thank you.
And that brings us to bird-friendly designation. Please, Maria, coming forward, please. I'll look for a motion on the floor. Yeah, Councillor Tate. Just 1 second.
I'll move that the Woodstock City Council approve the proposed short list of 3 birds, eastern goldfinch, black-capped chickadee, and song sparrow as candidates for consideration as the official bird of the city of Woodstock. And further, that City Council endorse a public engagement process to allow residents to vote to determine which of the shortlisted birds will be named Woodstock's official bird.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Schattenberg. Discussion or questions of the, I'll call you delegates, even though I guess we're technically not in delegates territory, but any questions of this? Do you have a little presentation? Did you have something prepared to speak to?
Would if you'd like to. I know I'm usually here.
I saw it on the screen, so that's why I knew there is something there.
Yes, I'm used to appearing.
There it is. So go ahead.
Have it
Thank
created a
you.
presentation. Oh, sorry, presentation for you. So thank you. So, yeah, thank you everyone. And just wanted to provide a quick recap because it has been a long time in the making to get here. So for everyone here and listening at home, what does this mean and what it took to get here? So thank you very much. So I'm going to provide it brief, but so it's my pleasure to represent the Woodstock Environmental Advisory Committee, our bird team subcommittee, to officially present to council our successful designation as a bird-friendly city, a designation awarded by Nature Canada. There we go. So again, just a recap, how did we get here and what does this mean? In September of 2025, WEAC presented to City Council on the bird-friendly city designation and the certification process, what it takes to earn the designation, and what it looks like. It refers to a city that has met or exceeded a minimum standard as established by Nature Canada with regards to reducing threats to birds. This gives consideration to no roam bylaws, bird-friendly design features, and a light pollution strategy, to name a few examples. Protecting and restoring natural habitat and increasing climate resiliency, which includes a biodiversity strategy and climate change adaptation strategy. And lastly, it reviews how municipalities and community groups actively engage the public on these programs and initiatives. The bird-friendly vision seeks to create both places and spaces across Canada that are not only safe for bird populations, but further place value on our ecological environments to encourage their preservation, restoration to allow all populations to thrive. Because we know when we assist one population, we are inherently helping all other species that rely on these same habitats. The program encourages residents to actively participate in monitoring programs, not only to establish baseline metrics, but what's unique to this program, it encourages continual monitoring as part of the 2-year renewal process. A major highlight of the program, it is cost-free. It creates a framework to bring together data we already know is being collected by volunteer groups and like-minded organizations. It provides a system to now compile and track this data and really assess how we're doing as a community. This will better direct efforts as relate to, as I said, threat reduction, habitat protection, and ongoing community outreach and education. With that said, as you know, so alongside other communities, including Mont-Saint-Hilaire, Ottawa, Caledon, and Belleville, we are officially recognized by Nature Canada on May 5th as taking direct actions within those 3 pillars effectively strengthening urban conservation efforts to save lives of our bird populations. So it's really neat. Woodstock now joins 41 other municipalities that have joined this movement. Woodstock joins neighboring municipalities, London, Kitchener, and Guelph, creating a beautiful naturalized corridor to better assist our migrating populations. Recognized by Ted Chesky, Naturalist Director with Nature Canada in his in the May 5th press release, we are now seeing clustering of cities across the country showing how and why this program is so impactful. So that's excellent. So now that we've achieved the designation, our next steps as a community is to select the official bird that we have collectively feel best represents the city. So as you would have heard and previously mentioned already, it also equally took a little bit to get to these final 3 birds that have been presented to you tonight. And it qualifies as a candidate. Both We Act the Bird team, with help from the Woodstock Field Naturalists, determined they should meet the following criteria. The species must be native to southwestern Ontario and present all year round, easily found within the city limits, recognizable by the public, and further carry symbolic or ecological relevance. This criteria was selected to increase engagement with the selected bird, encouraging more opportunity for the public to hear, spot, and recognize the bird selected to represent the city and foster a sense of connection. So I'll briefly just kind of go through each one. I'm sure you've all seen it at this point, but for those listening at home, the Eastern Goldfinch, or maybe more commonly known as the American Goldfinch. The Eastern Goldfinch is not only native to the area, it is found year-round, common to Woodstock. And especially for anyone in the here who is an active birder, you'll often see them at your feeders. The bright yellow breeding plumage of the male species in particular in early spring can be easily spotted, but was found resemblant of the yellow coloring of Woodstock's iconic cartoon character from the Peanuts. Anyone who is familiar with Woodstock, the cartoon character. Black-capped chickadee, much of the same applies, native to the area year-round, very common to backyard feeders, easily heard and spotted throughout the city, identified not only by its call, but small round body, distinctive black cap and bib that contrasts its white cheeks, regarded as one of the friendliest bird species. And lastly, the song sparrow. Again, all of the same applies. Year-round resident, very common again, found in marshes, wetland, backyard gardens, recognized by the streaking across its chest, distinctive dark spots around the center breast, and nice kind of an attribute to this particular bird. Its melodic singing inspired the name song sparrow, evoking a natural connection to music and suggestive of the famous Woodstock Music Festival. So those are the 3 birds, and just to kind of remind everyone why they were selected, and for those that maybe aren't familiar, what they look like. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Tate?
Yes, through the chair, I want to thank you again for all your work, and sorry that we made you sit here for 2 hours. We probably should have had you at the beginning, so I apologize.
Oh, that's all right. No worries, thank you.
Councillor Wismer Van Meer?
Through you, your worship, thank you so much for being here and echo what Councillor Tate said and sticking around for so long. As somebody who's an animal lover, I love that we've gotten the bird friendly recognition. I think that's fantastic. I love the idea of having the 3 birds. You presented them with your reasons behind all of them, because I was very curious to see how you came to those. Eastern Goldfinch was the one that, without even reading it, I thought of Woodstock, the character, as well, instantly. So, but I love how you have this, and I'm really excited to see what people respond and what they think, and having this put out to our community to be involved with is, I think, such a great opportunity to get feedback. And great work on all of this, and congratulations to everybody that's been involved.
Well said. Councillor Schanberg?
I too want to thank Elise and Danath from the Woodstock Environment Advisory Committee for sticking around to the entire meeting. But I also want to make note that Richard and Sharon Skevington are here from the Woodstock Field Naturalists sitting in the back. And Richard Skevington is well known because as we're all opening up presents at Christmas time, he's out counting birds. They do a bird count every year at the end of the calendar year. And also Carlos Gregorio's here is a very nature loving person, and of course a photographer and everything else, that you can sort of see a lot of pictures actually on Facebook on a consistent basis on something called Woodstock Nature, to be able to get a lot of bird pictures and turtles and everything else as well. But it's great to recognize birds in this way.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Lauder.
Thank you, and thanks for the presentation, and thanks for all the work you've done on this, getting prepared for this designation. I just have to say one thing. I have a bird that's, I don't know if he's fell in love with me or what, but it's pecking on my window every day. I haven't told him to go away yet. I don't know if it's a he or a she, but it comes pecking, especially when I'm having breakfast. It's peck, 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 peck. And it keeps on periodically through the day. But I do love birds. So anyhow, thank you for all your work that you've done on this. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'd like to say thank you to WEAC and all the organizations involved. I mean, I know a lot of the work that's gone into this. I mean, this seems like forever ago it started, when the discussions first started. And I want to thank everybody for the dedication in going through this process. I want to thank Nature Canada for the recognition. To be recognized as a city, I think, is quite significant. We should all be very proud. And I'm going to look directly to our Parks and Rec team for a lot of that work, and ensuring Woodstock is considered a natural spot. I mean, this is clearly in one of our unanimous strategic priorities, and that's for our environmental goals of protecting and enhancing our natural environment. So this plays right along. So thank you to your team. Thank you to everyone involved, and very proud to be a bird-friendly city. For the public's notice, they're going to be able to vote for 4 weeks, I do believe, starting June 3rd. It'll be opened up. And please get out and vote, and would love to see some numbers to get some community input. And this is our bird, so let's pick it wisely. Anyone else before I call the vote? I'll call the vote. All those in favor? That's unanimous.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you all for your patience as well. No notice of motions that I'm aware of, no new business that I'm aware of. That brings us to the draft bylaws. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Tate that the following bylaws be given a first and second reading. 9828-26, a bylaw to govern and regulate the finances for the city of Woodstock for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2026, to provide for the adoption of tax rates and to further provide for penalty and interest in default payment thereof for 2026. 9829-26, a bylaw to approve the estimates for the Board of Management for the Business Improvements area for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2026, and 9830-26, a bylaw to authorize the execution of funding agreements with Ontario Centre of Innovation and an agreement with Charter Crew.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns? All those in favor? That is carried and unopposed. Councillor Martin.
Thank you again. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Leatherborough that the following bylaws be given a third and final reading. 9828-26, 9829-26, and 9830-26.
Last chance. Any questions? All those in favor? None opposed. Those are carried. And that brings us to questions and addresses tonight. And we're going to start with Councillor Schattenberg this evening.
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody that the dog guide walk this year is on Sunday, the 31st of May. So before the end of this month, and certainly before our next meeting. And this year, the dog guide walk is going to be in Sweeberg at the Trillium Woods Forest. But if you're looking for more information on it, look at the Lions Club of Woodstock on Facebook. Lots of information there. The book sale at the library is taking place on Saturday, the 30th. And that same day, the Woodstock Art Gallery is celebrating its 60th birthday at the Museum Square from noon until 4 p.m. Lots of activities for WAG or the Woodstock Art Gallery going on at that point in time as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
For the first time in a very long time, I went and watched some baseball at Southside Park last weekend on the long weekend. My one of my best friend's son, I think it was the U14, were hosting the tournament. Excuse me. My gosh, those kids can play some great ball. But I think what I loved was this team of mostly young boys are out there, and then I hear they have walkout music and they hype it all up, and they call Charlotte and I was like, there's a young girl on this team. And my friend was like, yes, and she's a great ball player. And my gosh, was she ever great. And, you know, the way that everyone just cheered her on, that whole team, unfortunately, they didn't win the tournament, but they did play well. But I just wanted to make a comment to our Parks Department on Southside is where I played ball for many years. Not like those young gaffers, but I haven't been down there for a while to watch a ball game, but what a great facility. It looks fantastic. I just seeing those kids out there playing ball, and with the carnival and the fair going on in the background, it was a really fun atmosphere to be down there. So great work by the special events and the Parks Department last weekend for the May 2-4. It's not even May 2-4, Victoria Day weekend, I guess I should say. And just a reminder, the Addams Family, a new musical comedy, the Stages Senior Group, they are having their preview night tonight, just across the road here from us. Last night during our theater board meeting, they were having another dress rehearsal run through, so we could hear them singing and preparing. And this is going to be an amazing show. It's going to be so well done. The costumes were really, really amazing. So there's not a lot of tickets left, but there are still some tickets at the box office. So it starts tomorrow, runs through to the 31st. There's some matinees on the weekends as well. But get out and support our young people in the arts and in the theater, because these kids really work hard to put these productions on. And it's young people that are also helping direct and produce. So all around, seeing youth and young adults getting involved is something that we should be very proud of.
Thank you. Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. This is National Public Works Week, May 17th, May 23rd. The theme, Rooted in Service, Powered in Community. You can join them on Saturday, May the 23rd from 9 to 12 at the Works office facility at 944 James Street. There's a small event, and check out and visit with them, and thank them for all the work they do to maintain our city. Help maintain it along with everyone else. And I want to congratulations the Theatre Woodstock. They received 5 nominations and 4 wins at the 2026 Western Ontario Drama League Festival Awards at Gala held in at Hanover on May the 17th. And on the 30th, the public art unveiling of the gallery's newest sculpture, Bird Set Free by Dwayne and Ursula Kumala Thomas, will take place Saturday, May 30th from 11 to 11:30 at the Florence Carlisle Park at 174 Vancouver Ave. And the artist and the granting body will be in attendance, as well as special poem read by Emily DeAngelis. And today I had a great comments regarding our parade and the midway. They were really thought that was a great job and the best midway that they've had in a long time. And the band too, they just thought was marvelous. It just was a perfect day, and they were impressed with the parks, the cleanliness, and a big thanks goes out to all the organizers for the weekend. And I had my first ride on a motorcycle. and my
And you looked good.
the grandkids, because I don't agree with motorcycles, but I did that. So now they can, now they're saying, Grandma, you did it, so we can have a bike. So thank you.
I did a double take when you pulled in beside me along the line up. Councillor Leatherborough.
Everyone said great things already, so I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their evening, but my kids did notice Counselor Lauder on the motorbike. And it's just nice when my family gets super excited to see the mayor and familiar people, and the parade was just fantastic, and it was a beautiful day, so enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yes, it certainly was. Counselor Martin.
Thank you. It's been a busy week, and I'm not going to steal your thunder because I know that you're going to want to talk about this, but there was a really exciting funding announcement this week for Woodstock, and I'm going to let you talk about jobs and investment. But it is a 155,000 square foot building that will be constructed here in Woodstock, and a lot of people on social media have been really wanting to know where this is. So it is in the municipally owned industrial park of the former LEA farm. And that was a purchase back, I think, in January of last year or early last year. So it's great to see that coming to fruition. And I mentioned the 155,000 square feet. Well, first of all, I've had the song chicken wing, macaroni and bologna, whatever it is, hot dogs and bologna. I've had that in my head ever since that announcement. And so now I'll share that with you. But it's important that like 155,000 square feet, that is the only on this 10 acres of land is the benefit that the city sees, right? The municipal property tax is how we see benefit. The jobs are fantastic for our community. And the revenues and the investment is great. But it's the province that sees a lot of that benefit, right, in income tax and corporate tax. But to see this kind of an investment coming to our community is exciting. Today, Mayor Accioni and I was there as deputy warden, had the opportunity to remember Joseph W. Boyle. And this is a gentleman who is buried here in Woodstock, was born in Toronto, but raised here in Woodstock, and then went out on an incredibly adventurous life. He was born in 1867. In 1900, he went to the Yukon and became, king of the Klondike, extremely successful in gold mining. But he didn't stop there. He went from the Yukon and in the First World War, went all the way to the front lines to Europe, and became a friend of Romania. And today is Heroes Day in Romania. And so the Consulate General was there from Romania. And this is a local individual whose life impacted people well beyond our borders. This is a man who led with courage, and it reminded me of, and I mentioned this in my presentation today, in my speech today. William Shakespeare made the quote, "Be not afraid of greatness." And this is a man who wasn't afraid of greatness. He demonstrated it over and over and over again throughout his life's work. And when I think about his journey, in 1900, you didn't call an Uber and go to the airport and land at Heathrow. Like these were incredible treks that this man made across Canada, into the United States, and then throughout Europe. I'll finish off by saying that next week is Accessibility Week. That's already been highlighted. There will be a flag raising across the street, and I'll be there as deputy warden on Monday morning at 10:30. You're all welcome to join. But I really want to say a shout out to Sue Peters. Her work on the accessibility committee, anytime I talk to her, she is so enthusiastic about that work. And as she mentioned today, the importance of hiring and working with people with disabilities is so incredible to our community. And it's one of the greatest lessons that I've learned as a business owner, that it's wonderful to have high achievers in your employee stable of employees, but when you can hire someone with unique needs and allow them to shine is such a wonderful experience for everyone involved. So I wish everyone a wonderful evening and hopefully a relaxing weekend.
Thank you. Counselor Tate.
Well, I like to always say that IT and the maintenance of our building are the most important people, and we wouldn't exist without them. So I have to give a big shout out to Chris Dukes because he has been gone for, I can't remember how many weeks now, but I did touch base with him today. He is on a 10-week opportunity with QP National, and he is loving it. We miss him, but he's having a great time and he's doing very well, not surprised. I would like to thank Brian Connors. I did so I'm down at the pit opt every day, about 3 times a day with the dogs. And the garbage, of course, is overflowing every single day, but it was really bad this weekend. So I thought I'm not going to bother him until Monday. So I took a picture and I said, just so you know, prepare parks for the cleanup tomorrow. And they actually went down on holiday Monday and cleaned it. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And also Warren Waugh, there's been a couple incidences in downtown that needed looked after. And I'm not going to mention what it is, but the staff did look after it. It's really unfortunate. So I really appreciate that. What was the, oh, just so everybody knows too. So we only have one team left. That's Canadian. And Montreal's winning 4-1. Everybody thought they were going to get whipped, and it's the end of the first period. So everybody's aware we do have one shot. I also would like to Mr. Miller. He had a big day today. His little 3-year-old she had her first orientation on the bus. And the picture is so cute. So it is a big milestone. So congratulations to him and his family. That's fantastic. And just one final comment. When we sit around the table and we make decisions and we have votes and things take place, you never know how it's going to affect people. So one of the first things we did, and I have to thank Councillor Leatherborough for this because when it came forward, I hadn't thought about it and I didn't think I was going to support it, was the fireworks. So I'm not going to get upset about this. So to me, it was like after the discussion, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to support the ban of fireworks. There's all kinds of reasons why. And just for how it affects people. So I spoke about this dog that I rescued last year, and I found a home for this dog, and it had a terrible life. It was about 5 years old, and I had a call right before the meeting today. And they lived just outside of the city and people were giving off fireworks. The dog had never been around it. The dog jumped off the deck. It disappeared for 2 days. They got the dog back, but it was in terrible shape and they had to put the dog down today. So you never know how what we decide around here, how it affects different people, but I think that was a fantastic decision that we made. I also talked to somebody that lives in a city that they have young children and now they have fireworks and the disruption to that. So I want to thank Councillor Leatherbarrow because at the time, honestly, I never thought about the impacts, but that was a big decision. And I know some of us took a lot of heat and council took a heat, but it does have a impact. So thank you.
Thank you. I also have a dog that absolutely hates fireworks, but first of all, I'm going to start off by kind of the elephant in the room that's being talked about a lot on social media, of course, is the former YMCA. I just want to thank County of Oxford, though I can't talk a lot about it. It is no secret they have come out and made an announcement that is kind of being worked on right now. This is great news for our community and the result of a lot of years of collaboration between different organizations, amongst dozens of different meetings amongst different organizations and committees. And now that a location's been identified, to say that the city of Woodstock and Oxford County is going to have a homelessness support center is a good thing. I will say that we will be having lots of discussions, further discussions. It's always been part of the planning to have those discussions in an open and transparent way with not only the organizations, but the neighbors, and all that will be coming. And I have total faith in Oxford County media team to bring that forward, to have that come forward. So I wanted to throw that out there. I want to thank all the organizers to Victoria Day. This past weekend was fantastic. It was busy. The weather was cooperative and the parade was packed. So thank you to everyone involved in that. Earlier, as Councillor Martin mentioned today, we were at Joe Boyle, Romanian Consulate General was here. I won't go into too much details. It's an incredible story. I think back to my high school days. I think it was grade 10 history that I did a project on Joe Boyle and went to that site. Of course, we're talking long before the internet was a real thing, and it was encyclopedias and good old legwork and looking at cemetery headstones and getting all the dates, so I'm dating myself now. But it's funny to turn back around and look at that today and thank for the Historical Society for organizing that. We also celebrated Turtle Island Public Schools grand opening this week. Councillor Schattenberg and I was there and happy to celebrate. And, you know, this is a big deal. We haven't had a new school in the city of Woodstock for decades. I think Algonquin was the last school that the city opened. So to be part of that was very special, and thank Principal Powell and the entire team there at Thames Valley District School Board. They have been fantastic to deal with. It's been unbelievable, the response since the school is open to addressing any of the minor issues that have come on, minor and major issues, and that cooperation is there. So thank you to that team. Also was mentioned Sunrise Farm. It's $100 million investment here in the city of Woodstock. Thank Minister Fideli for being here in attendance. There was some funding assistance from the Ontario government through Ontario Invest, and thankful for that cooperation and for, again, Sunrise Farm to bring a business that works with our agricultural partners, those farms that are going to be, you know, growing the chickens to feed literally all of Canada and beyond. It's incredible to have that kind of cooperation, and we welcome them here to the city of Woodstock and thank them very much for choosing us. Let's see, Saturday's public work touch-a-truck was touched on between 9 and 12. Hopefully we'll see everybody out there. Bird Set Free was mentioned next Saturday, but the 60th anniversary of Woodstock Art Gallery is going to be at Museum Square starting at noon, if I remember correctly. Let me just make sure. Sorry. Is that right? Yes, 12. Thank you. Sorry. Yes. 12 o'clock. On the 30th, I have 5 events before noon. So it's a busy day here in the city of Woodstock and only 4 in the afternoon. We have a lot of things going on, and I want to remind everybody to please get out, enjoy our city, stay tuned to what's on Woodstock. Oh, and I cannot forget, this weekend, Saturday night, is the Great Give, the Casino Royale event for United Way. So going to be a nice dress-up event, and look forward to this being an annual event, hopefully. If they can get the full community support, I'm sure that's out there for them. So with that, I'll look for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Martin, second by Councillor Leatherborough. All those in favor? We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.